I know you have, we've spoken in some of the questions, remediation and completion. You've talked about a lot today. Kind of to honor the former Senate Finance Chair, he talked a lot about college preparedness to Senator DeFrancisco over the years and just how we were doing. Do we have any stats on that end of are we getting, making progress on preparedness of the students you're getting? And of course, we've been talking all about the Excelsior program today. How is, would that be impacted should that happen?
Well, in honor of Senator DeFrancisco, we've talked for 3 years about making sure we have a diagnostic in high school that tells students and their families early enough whether they are on track to be college ready. Regrettably, we haven't found the magic bullet for that, but I do think we have to keep working. I know that Commissioner Mary Ellen Elia is in favor of an early diagnostic, but in the environment of sort of wrestling to the ground how we're dealing with testing anyway, it seems like a bridge too far at the moment, but we have to find a mechanism to push our remedial work into the high school to deliver it when it's needed. And I'm not saying push it off to K-12. We are more than willing to be in the high schools more obviously to help kids get ready. That said, we're still struggling with a number somewhere around 40% of our students who come to our community colleges and they need remedial work. That's unacceptable. But for any of you who are new to this hearing, I always pause and say, we prepare the teachers who teach those students who come to college ready or not. So the one thing that we're now doing very visibly is working on teacher preparation. This is a partnership with the commissioner and SED. It's called Teach New York. We also have CUNY and our independent colleges at the table. And we're not only working on supply and demand, but we're just working on the ground at what teachers can do to help us make sure that students arrive college ready. So that 40% is too big, too much. We need to remediate where the remediation needs occur. We need to make sure we're preparing teachers who know how to do that.
Thank you. And the other one you talked about was completion. I know over the last couple of years, you've also talked about expanding somewhat the numbers at SUNY by retaining a greater portion. That's where you can be successful. How about that? Are we seeing retention level? And I know the completion is met in there if you'll have a greater number finishing if you can retain them. But are we seeing static or progress on getting students once they're in SUNY to stay as students?
Well, I think we translate retention as degree completion. I mean, that's our metric, that's our measure. We started this campaign at 93,000 degrees offered annually. We're now at 96,000. We're trying to get to 150,000 degrees, which is to close that gap of only 40 to 60% of our students getting a 4-year degree in 4 to 6 years. Why would we tolerate that as a country? We need to close that gap. So we're working on it. We think even 75% graduation rate is not exactly a victory, it's a growth, but we don't want to lose any of those students. So we have this massive completion agenda. And as we graduate more students on time, then we have an enrollment issue. So we're literally going to every campus right now. We've sat down with 30 of our 64 campuses to plan more strategic enrollment so that when we do get better at degree completion, we still can fill our seats with students, young or adult, who need more education. So it's probably the focus of SUNY right now, that retention issue, and it's growing, 93 to 96 to hopefully 100, to 125 to 150,000 degrees. And boy, is that going to be an asset for the state of New York, because they're going to be job ready, which is what the jobs require. So I think I want to say, Assemblyman, we're on it. It's big for us. It's huge. And we have data, and we'd love to share it.
Appreciate that focus and the response. I think, just a final comment, I guess, as we go, that the numbers, and I know the governor has, for the Excelsior program, around 160 million. You gave a figure of how many students might it be. I think the figure, should we take in those numbers, the figures could go quite a bit above that figure that the executive put in the budget if that comes to fruition. And so that obviously is concern is how do we pay for it?
I'm sure they built that number on a set of assumptions that are yet to be analyzed. But when you make a budget number like that, you got to expose the assumptions, and that's what we're working on.
Thank you very much.